Doing law school, volunteering on commissions in government, trying to understand what the challenges were at the city, and then at the county, and then at the state, and then at federal. And then I've ended up internationally because I want to know where those places are that we can have an impact. And I can tell you, or I believe that we're really at a wonderful place now with the global community now getting so much smaller because of what technology does for us, that we have a potential for access to and of technology for people with disabilities at a level never seen before.
One in the back there?
I think I have less of a question as a response to Stuart's question about raising motivation within a company. I think part of it is there is an aging population to a certain extent, and people will often say, I don't have a disability, but golly gosh, gee, I can't hear, as I get older, or I've been listening to buds for, 20 years. And I think that those things are a bigger population that they're going to have to respond to. And I think we're going to... That's
an absolutely significant point, because the changing demographics in the world, Japan is the first country to come to a point where 50% of the population are more over 50. I mean, there's an issue regarding sustainability of the economy, and if we're going to sustain our economy, we have to deal with the aging of the population. And so that's why the Telecom amendment to the treaty is titled Accessibility for Persons with Disabilities and Age-Related Disabilities, because we wanted to include the aging population.
One comment on that as well. There's an interesting thing that happens when disability exceeds a certain critical volume in the population, and people start talking about it in terms of convenience instead of in terms of that access. If you stop someone in a grocery store who's got one of the little go-karts, who's an aging person, and you ask them, do you have a mental or physical impairment that substantially inhibits the nature of life activity? They're not going to say yes, right? They're going to say, well, this is just easy. Like, it's easier for me to get to the store and do my stuff. And that's a conversation that I think tech companies can have. I think you should hold on to the civil rights piece underlying it. It's very important. But the notion of making something easier for people, that they're really oriented towards that. And if you frame it in that context, they can engage it. I do think it's important to bring in images, and I'll give you one. This is a result of that Moore's Law I was showing you. This is a high-resolution video camera, right? It's incredibly great. It's a flip camera. Cisco bought this company a little while ago. What is that going to do to routers if everyone has a high-definition video camera in their pocket? Interesting. Cisco, which makes routers, will be able to sell a lot more of them. So why would they buy this company and start selling them cheap? Interesting. The showing people in your office a video of someone with a disability using technology will change their world. It will not have occurred to them that blind people navigate using speech at 600 words a minute. It will not have occurred to them.
You're really going so fast.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So, question there, yeah.
Well, so one of the things that you're starting to get to, you started out talking about art instead of law, and one of the things that the baby boomer issue raises is, bottom line, cash, market share, the language that the businesses speak.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to make headway, with that? How detailed have you found that they need to be to start getting interested?
It's a mix. It definitely, the bottom line is relevant. Everyone and their mother is talking about the aging of America. Scientists have done research and we're all getting older. And 10 years from now, we'll all be 10 years older. And that's going to create some pretty amazing things. That the baby boom, which was 35% increase in people, there'll be a 35% increase in 70-year-olds in about 10 years. They see it coming. Frankly, the healthcare system can't handle it. It will break because people spend more than 50% of their healthcare in the last year of their life. And their lifetime spending on healthcare happens in the last year. So we've got to come up with some technology answers to deal with it. But it also takes leadership within those organizations. Someone has to stand up and have that conversation and drive on it, because it's not a default, it's not an easy money, it's a long-term bet. GE is actually putting a lot of money into this area right now. They see that their healthcare business is going to be dependent on expanding into the home. But you also don't want to frame disability as a healthcare issue necessarily, because like, we're not sick, right? Like, we're not all needing to be fixed. But you got to kind of play with whatever handles they give you and try and pull it into the conversation.
Again, I would encourage you to take a look at Section 508 and what it's doing. It creates a marketplace incentive. If businesses are going to design for accessibility, they have to if they want to sell to the U.S. government. And in fact, you think about the way our access laws have worked. The Rehab Act came out talking about if you receive federal funding, you have to be accessible. Well, in a way, we're paralleling that with 508 in the technical banding. But right after 508 was passed, I got a call from the European Union asking me to come and give a speech at Parliament because they were really worried if the U.S. was going to start using the power of the purse, which was the largest dollar being spent in technology in the world, and if they were going to only buy accessible technology, where was all the inaccessible technology going to go? And the European Disability Forum was scared. They